Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Tax. I'm your host, Tim LeMasters, and today I'm joined by Drew Haddock, CEO and partner of DMJPS CPAs and Advisors. Drew, thanks for taking time to join us today. It's such a pleasure, right after a holiday weekend, getting to spend some time with you. We usually spend time at conferences. I know that I haven't been going to those here lately, so I missed you, buddy. It's good to talk to you finally.
Tim, great to see you, man. Always enjoy seeing you and Mike and the whole McGuire Sponsor team. Thanks for having me today, and you'll be glad to know I still got all 5 fingers on my hands today after the holiday weekend.
Me too.
So we had a good time, but glad to be back at the office today. What an awesome celebration, 250 years of the USA. So
yes,
thanks
fantastic.
for having me.
Yes, I'm so glad you're here. It's it's funny. I was talking to Mike actually recently, and I said, man, because we were talking about this recording coming up, and I'm like, yeah, Mike, you got to get me down there every once in a while. And he's like, well, I don't need you. I'm like, I guess you don't. So, so I get it. But, well, Drew, I think it'd be good to start. For those who may not be familiar with DMJPS, tell us a little bit about the firm and then kind of your role there.
Yeah, so we are a North Carolina CPA and advisory firm headquartered in Greensboro, North Carolina. We have 10 offices across the state of North Carolina, from Wilmington to Asheville. So I live in the Triangle area, sit inside of our Sanford, North Carolina office, and really we just traditional CPA firm, assurance, tax, and advisory. We have a fast-growing CAAS area, and we have a very a great healthcare niche as well that we have that's fast-growing. And we're trying to continue to develop other industry niches as well. So that's just kind of a little high level. I'm also the new CEO of DMJPS. So me and my predecessor, Mike Gillis, who led the firm for over 25 years, and we're really fortunate to have such great long-term leadership at DMJPS. I think one of the things we're most proud of at DMJPS is our bench strength and the partners that we have coming up. As many businesses are facing right now, we're in a generational shift, and this is across the country in all industries. But our leadership has always had just that forethought and the looking ahead on what's next and trying to develop the next round of leadership. And so that's where I've come in over the past year. I guess it's been 8 months I've been in the role by myself, and so I'm excited about the future of DMJPS and the leadership role that I have and my partners have trusted me with.
Well, I know I've told you this, but congratulations again. And I've had the pleasure of meeting Mike. Mike was awesome, a great guy, and it's been good to get to know him and obviously you over the years. And but congratulations again on that. And I think one of the reasons I was excited to have you on is because I think a lot of firms naturally focus on year-end planning. But when I look at a firm like yours, it seems like you guys are creating value for your clients all year long. I know I talked to Mike over and over again about this. And for those that don't know, Mike Hamill's my colleague down at our Atlanta office, one of the shareholders here at McGuire Sponsor. So I'm dropping his name, so I should probably publicly announce him. But, it's something that you guys are doing this all year long for your clients, Drew, not just during tax season. So I'd love to talk about kind of what that looks like on your end and how you guys are approaching that.
Yeah, Tim, a lot of what we do comes down to staying close to our clients and understanding, what's happening in their businesses before a challenge or opportunity reaches a critical point, right? Like our goal is to stay close throughout the year, and that's where we can provide the most value. And we encourage our people and all of our teammates, my partners, we don't want a transactional, hey, we only talk to you once during tax season. That's not going to be the highest value and the most value we can provide to our clients. Our goal is to have ongoing conversations throughout the year and to look for those opportunities where we can provide real value to our clients. And it's not just preparing and filing a tax return. It's thinking about all aspects of their business. So that's really what we try to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so would you say, you look at this, is this something, because I think we can start just there. Is this something that you look at as planned meetings? Is it random conversations? Is it something else that you guys are working on with the folks there at DMJPS? Do you say, hey, listen, throughout the year, we want to look at the calendar and say, in the early months, obviously we have tax planning, we got tax deadlines that we're working on. As we get in the summertime, are we scheduling those planned meetings, or is it something that it just turns into random conversations with clients?
I think it's a little bit of a combination of both, Tim. One of the things that I encourage all of our partners to do and our leadership to do is just have conversations with their clients, schedule lunches, like take them to lunch, make it just sit down and listen. Just let's turn on our listening ears and hear what they have going on. And that's where we believe the most, value and things get uncovered is just by talking about what's going on in your business, what's happening. And so we have a lot of different things throughout the year, unplanned, and Tim, we try to be very intentional. Of course, like many firms, we do client satisfaction surveys, and we do those typically in the fall. But ours isn't just a report card where we're trying to say, hey, how do we do this past year? We intentionally put questions on that survey to help uncover planning opportunities. And so to us, that's like an important thing that we do. That's not just, hey, you guys are doing a good job, but we try to bring out of our clients, what do you need our help with? And then give that information over to the leaders on that engagement.
That's great. I mean, because you got to look at it. Typically, you think a lot of these opportunities would come from tax-related, discussions. But it sounds like you guys are just from the start are doing just business conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny you mentioned the tax piece of it. As you've heard, just being in the business, the CAAS, the Client Accounting and Advisory Services, is just growing so rapidly across the country. And I think a lot of the business opportunities are going to start coming more from that CAAS, even for firms that have traditionally been large tax practice firms. That CAAS work is really an area that is fast growing and multiple touch points throughout the year as well.
Yeah, I have noticed that. It's funny. I started back in 2017 at McGuire Sponsel, and CAAS wasn't even really a thing I heard about a lot. It was more tax audit. These are the things that we focus on. We're going in, we're having tax-related conversations. The audit team's pulling things for our tax team to review, so on and so on. And then all of a sudden here over the years, it's been like CAAS. So I'm hearing a lot of that. So it's interesting that you bring that up because I won't disagree with you.
Yeah.
So now and let's go on the flip side here. Let's play a little devil's advocate. Okay. Why do you think, and I'm not saying DMJPS does this, I'm just saying in general, in the accounting world in general, why do you think some really good opportunities end up getting missed?
A lot of it comes down to, people being busy. But I think where you have to really focus so you don't get missed is the accountability and having multiple touch points with the client. You have a team. It's not just Drew Haddock's client. This is a DMJPS client, and it's not just me. I have multiple people, hopefully multiple service lines that are helping service that client. And even if it's not a client, maybe it's a prospective client, right? And I hate for those opportunities to get missed. But I think it just boils down to people get busy and there's no accountability on the follow-up. And so how do you put into place, the accountability to make sure that our team members are following up? And we try to do a few different things. I mean, we have a monthly goals meeting is what we call it, where we get together as leadership every month and we talk about all our pipeline. We just go through our pipeline of prospective clients and even current clients that are cross-referring to different service lines, new opportunities. Maybe that's a cost seg study, R&D credit. And we just go over those opportunities and that helps us with the accountability piece and making sure that we're following up and then we keep up with it each month. Well, where's the stand at now? So that's important. I mean, not to let those get away from us.
No, I agree. And listen, the busy part, I completely understand that. As well as I do, and I've said this before, there's more accountants retiring than there are going to school, right? So we've got to kind of figure out how can we be, I would say, how do we leverage AI and all the things that we're seeing every time we go to a conference or anywhere else, AI. But, it's hard not to get in that busy mode or let's call it compliance mode. Sometimes we get in compliance mode where it's just like, I'm stuck in compliance right now. I'm just trying to get through this stuff. And it can bog you down. So I applaud you for taking time, out of the weeks, out of the months to kind of review clients and making sure you're keeping them top of mind because that can be a bit of a challenge in the world we live in right now.
Absolutely. Most missed opportunities aren't because no one saw them. It's because nobody followed up. So
Yeah.
that's important.
Yeah, and I guess, looking at being busy in the compliance and tax season, do you think there's really a best time of year to have a proactive conversation with clients, or, you know, maybe it's more about staying engaged throughout the year? Or is this just something you guys say, this is something we're doing consistently throughout the year? There is no better time, and time is now.
Yeah, I mean, I think traditional, you know, traditionally a lot of times we get hung up on like the end of the year tax planning being the key part. But as you said, I think it's being engaged throughout the year and not just focused on, one or two times of the year. Because listen, our clients, business owners, they don't operate on a calendar year. They operate throughout the whole year. And so they have problems and situations and things that happen and arise throughout the year. And our goal is to be the trusted advisor where they reach out and talk to us about these decisions and what's going on. And hey, do we have a solution that we can help them,
Yeah.
solve a problem that they've got? So that's why it's important to have engagement throughout the year and multiple touch points.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd agree. Here's the thing, Drew. The other thing is you got kind of two types of clients, right? You've got your client that's kind of involves himself in the tax world. They want to know more. They want to be proactive. They want to work on planning. They want to make sure they're not missing anything. And then you have the other client that they're busy, kind of fully ingrained into their business, and they're just waiting on you to tell them what they need to do. So you have
Yep.
this balance of clients that we got to figure out, okay, I know this client I'm not going to miss because they're as consistent as I am with the follow up and the things that we need to do. But this client is the one that's kind of just sitting here saying, my accountant's got this. How are they going to find every opportunity they can for me? Because I don't have the time to do that research. So I think that's really, really something you guys have to balance on a regular basis.
Absolutely. You're 100% right on that. And that's our goal is to try to keep up with, what our clients are expecting from us and make sure we're up to speed. So often we hear the term tax simplification, right, Tim, and it getting simpler, and it is always the opposite. And it's always becoming more complex. So our clients are counting on us to stay on top of that.
Yeah.
And so it's really on us to help our clients stay on top of those things and keep them updated.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. So it's never getting easier. I mean, every bill that comes out, this is going to be simple. This is going to be simple. Yeah, right. We get into the into the weeds of it, and we realize that there's a lot going on here. We've got to figure this out. So
That's right.
luckily, we all have some technical experts that can support us on that, right? So let's shift gears a little bit. I'd like to know what clients are talking about today. What seems to be top of mind, for business owners right now. What's really kind of the focus that you're seeing out there?
One of the things that we're hearing multiple things, but one of the things is growth. Whether it's looking for outside investment, over the last 4 or 5 years, a lot of clients, getting PE investment into their business, just like in the CPA world. So a lot of clients are talking about, how do we scale our business and how do we maintain efficiency and profitability? And they're facing workforce challenges. That continues to be important. But it's not just hiring. It's also attracting, retaining, and developing the talent that you have in your business. And then, of course, we're always hearing about technology investments, automation, AI. I mean, every conference we go to now, it's all, AI is like one of the headlining subjects. It has been for a while. And I think our clients are also hearing that and trying to figure out how do we implement it. And so that's a very important part. And I continue to say that AI is so important in automation technology, right? But it's always going to be about the humans that we have working on our teams, the humans behind that technology. And it's our goal that how do we empower and develop our people to use this technology so we can better serve our clients, right? And so that I think that just goes hand in hand with businesses and clients, our clients too, and their business.
No, and that's interesting because I'm hearing similar things from CPA firms across the country. I mean, West Coast to East Coast, it's just that is a consistent message that I'm hearing. And I guess listening to that, has that changed kind of the way your firm approaches advisory work?
part of our mission and values at DMJPS is to inspire our people, clients, and communities to be greater. And we use that be greater in everything that we do. And so I think we're sitting here trying to figure out how do we continue to develop our people and train our people to be better advisors to our clients. Not to just think about that transaction, that compliance, that tax return, that audit, that review. How do we also provide a high level of advisory to our clients? Because now we're trying to utilize tools to help. And our clients, they have tools at their hands too. So, it's really a very important aspect is our people development and then the advisory side of the business.
Yeah. And I think you guys have obviously built a culture, where people are looking for opportunities, and that's important. And I think, if there's other firms out there that, maybe struggle with that, how do you encourage your team to think beyond just getting the tax return done? Because it's so, obviously we're busy, it seems like right now, year round. And, get the holiday weekend, the July 4th holiday weekend, get a little downtime there, but it just seems like it doesn't shut off now. And so how do we look at this and say, this is how we encouraged our team, and this is how we think beyond just getting the tax return done?
I think it's a mindset around curiosity, right? Like we want our team members to try to understand and think about the client's business. What does their business do? And then once you understand the client's business, be curious, ask questions, figure things out. Let's talk as a team. And then you think about all the other aspects of, all the solutions that our firm can bring to the table for problems that business may be experiencing, and the tax planning aspects that can present themselves. But that's where I think, just having a mindset and trying to develop a culture here of like, we're not afraid to ask questions. We want our team members, even interns, folks right out of college, to have that curiosity on how does this work? What does this business do?
Yeah.
So I think it's a cultural, aspect at DMJPS that we really want to continue to build upon with our people.
Drew, I guess a question that I have, and this is something that, I think would be another good message for folks out there that are trying to kind of just get themselves in a position to be more an advisor for their clients. And I know you've kind of mentioned it a few times, but if you really want to drive it home here, this would be the best place for it. So if another managing partner called you tomorrow and said, I want my firm to be more proactive with clients, I guess my question to you is, what's the first piece of advice that you'd give them?
Oh man, that's a good one, Tim. I would think a couple. I don't know if I can give one. It's hard to hold me to one on that. I think about maybe two or three probably come to mind, but know your industry and know your target market. I think a lot of CPA firms struggle with trying to be all things to all clients, right? And something we've really focused on over the last few years is our client acceptance, right? And knowing and recognizing that not every client is ideal for us to service, and that's going to create a value gap right at the start. So I would focus on knowing an industry or industries, know your target market, and be crystal clear on who your ideal client is. Because I think that's how you're going to create value for folks. And so that is something that really we're trying to continue to work on. I don't know if you're ever perfect at it. It's always a constant improvement, but trying to get deeper industry knowledge and try to have folks that understand, the industries and then who our ideal client is. And it's okay to say no. You don't have to take on every client. That's not a bad thing or an ugly thing. That's this is a focus, and that's how we're going to provide the most value and the clarity. So, when you're clear about who you serve best, you're better positioned to create exceptional value for. That's some of it.
I can stand behind that. I think it's well said. There's been this thought that if you go into the accounting world, that all you're going to do is sit behind a desk and you're just going to do tax work. And the reality is, if we want to be good at what we do, we've got to be a good advisor for our clients. And I think you've you've done a really good job. Mike Gillis did a really good job of focusing on that, not only with your client base, on your own client base, but with your colleagues, with your people internally, and it shows. So I'll tell you, Drew, it's been a great conversation. I really appreciate you spending some time with us today. And if I had to summarize a few things that we talked about today, I'd say opportunities don't just happen during tax season. They're all year round. I mean, that's something we've got to focus on. And then firms creating the most value are intentional. And I think they're intentional about, staying engaged with clients. I think that's, like I mentioned, it's something I see that you guys do. Again, talking to Mike Hamill about you guys and kind of the interaction that he has, it seems like you're always trying to find new opportunities, new ideas to bring to the table. I mean, heck, half the time he's calling me saying, "Hey, Drew asked me about this. We don't do it. We got anybody that does?" And just that proactiveness that you guys have. And then I would say, and ultimately, it's about building a culture where your team is naturally curious, and I would say asking better questions.
Absolutely. I agree with all that, Tim, and it's been great to have this conversation with you. All important stuff and fun stuff to talk about.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again for joining us, Drew. It's always a pleasure seeing you. And thanks to everyone for listening. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe to Let's Talk Tax. There's multiple platforms, so don't miss the future episodes, and we'll see you next time.